All right, hey everyone, welcome to another BRAP Basement Radio Arcade podcast. We have a great panel for you all tonight. We have, well, I don't know where Slow-Mo is. You'll see Slow-Mo here. I don't know if he just forgot to leave the BRAP chat. We were playing Call of Duty earlier, and yeah, maybe he didn't leave. So, but I'm assuming Slow-Mo will probably pop in at some point. But nonetheless, we have a great panel. We also have returning guests. We have BG Broken Games HD. What's up, BG?
Hey, what's going on, Brap? Yeah, good to be here. Talking some of the most recent gaming events. Been kind of a slow week, same thing that everybody's kind of been arguing about, but good to be here.
That argument's probably going to be going on for another couple months, unfortunately. But yeah, and we'll talk about some updates related to the to that acquisition that shall remain nameless. But no, BG, it's been a long time, man. It's great to have you back on, though. I appreciate you answering the call at the 11th hour, man. So thank you again, and look forward to talking video games with you again. So we also have BRAP. I don't know if I should call you alumni or part-time panel member. We have Game Logic back. Logic, great to see you back, man.
Hey, yo!
Oh, my goodness. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Same old.
Yeah, I hear you. And, yeah, I introduced Slow-Mo. So I'm not sure if B-Money and I don't think Forte will join because Forte is on that Destiny grind right now. So he, doesn't really leave his basement for, weeks upon weeks. Only comes up to shower and grab food rations, and that's pretty much it. So maybe he'll join.
He's coming, I believe. I had messaged him.
Oh, did he say he was coming?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I wasn't sure if he was coming because I saw he's playing what's it called earlier, Destiny. So, but all right, we look forward to Forte coming on. So, by the way, big shout out to everyone in the live chat. Thank you all for coming out, and hanging out with us. See some usuals here. Please do me a favor and tweet out the link, let everyone know that we're live. And yeah, let's get into some of the topics tonight. We're going to talk about. Look, the Microsoft discussed the kind of in some additional detail the 10-year deal, saying, hey, you know what, 10 years is enough time for Sony to put together a maybe potential rival to Call of Duty, and so I'm wondering if that hints at exclusivity, and maybe why Sony's been very reluctant to accept any deal at the moment. So we'll talk about that. Then we also have some Redfall previews in. Redfall is releasing. What is it? April? I always forget the date now. I think it's April, right? I have to go back and look.
I think so.
Yeah.
Wait, no, May.
May. Okay, so it's coming out in May, and so some of the previews that come out, they flew some folks out. I believe it was a week or 2 weeks ago. I say folks, I mean the gaming media. And thank you, Dark J says May. And so we have some previews on Redfall, and then we talk a little bit about Epic Games. I was watching a little bit of the Epic Games GDC. The Unreal, they showed a little bit of Unreal Engine 5. I was hopefully Slow-Mo joins us for that because I know we was talking about that in the DM. And then we have some Spider-Man 2.
I'm here.
You there, Slow-Mo?
I am here.
There he is. The man who went 26-42 on COD, but we're not going to talk about that.
Why? What? Really? This is what we're talking about, Enrique.
Dry snitching.
I mean, really? Even though you didn't have a single positive match today.
Hey, let me look.
Don't
look,
AA me.
Look. Let me tell you something.
I get one bad match and Enrique got to tell the whole world. He having bad matches for a week and a half. I don't say nothing.
Those are lies. I Logic could attest to that. I have not had bad matches all week. Actually,
the only thing I can attest to. The only thing I can attest to is that you buy skins because you have yet to complete the battle pass.
Oh, see, here we go. Look, nothing wrong with supporting. Look, the narrative is you got to support developers, right? That's all I'm trying to do.
No, you complete the battle pass first, and then you can buy skins.
Oh man! Look, I can't help it.
I can't say nothing. I saw that Shredder skin, and I was like, "Hey, look, man! I was a Ninja Turtle fan when I was a kid, so
nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
How about the Shredder skin too?
Nice. See, there you go. See,
but
nice
I'm 100% complete with the battle pass, and I'm Prestige 243. So I can buy whatever I want to.
No, see, Logic is flexing right now.
I get so few chances to with y'all, so I gotta take advantage of it when I can.
Yeah, no, I bought the I forgot what's the ghost skin, the one with the gold skull and sunglasses, whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't typically buy. I typically don't buy skins, on Call of Duty, but the one that they had up, and I almost bought the Shredder one for, because I was,
He'll buy it eventually.
Yeah, I probably will. I mean, you're probably not wrong. But yeah, no, I don't buy skins. Typically buy skins. I have on Fortnite, not as much as Slow-Mo, because Slow-Mo was like a whale in Fortnite.
These are lies.
Slow-Mo, you have your skins rotate in and out of
Everyone
Fortnite.
Does that.
Okay,
Everyone has
but-
their skins on random.
And I could
rotate them.
And I could play. I played 8 hours straight with you. I've never seen the same skin in an 8-hour game session.
That's also a lie. You definitely
You got a wardrobe.
He's got a
Yeah,
BG. He's
I
got a
definitely-
wardrobe.
I
Monday,
definitely do got a wardrobe.
Tuesday.
I got like 5 closets of skins. It's pretty bad. It is pretty bad, but look, it's not the worst you've seen. Like there are definitely people who've got way more than I do. It's no big deal.
What I love about this conversation is how thematic it is to tonight, with lots of conversation about disingenuous takes and slander. Should be a good time.
Tons of slander coming from BRAP right now.
Hey, look,
Absolutely tons of slander.
look, and I also know you photoshopped your internet speeds, but we're not gonna talk about that. We're not gonna talk about that.
More slander, I tell you, man. I don't have to Photoshop Verizon Fios. It
No,
is what
you
it
don't,
is. You
no.
just tell people you got Verizon Fios. You don't even need to show your internet speed. We understand.
But see, here's the thing, man. Shadow Neil says pony down. But look, man, here's the thing. So Slow-Mo is like, has anyone tried Amazon Luna? He's like, I'm sure Lord 5G has. That's a reference to me, because they used to call me that because I was a big. Look when Stadia was announced, I was one of those.
Yeah,
it's
you
the
were
future,
frugal, man.
Yeah,
You
it
were
was.
frugal.
Look, man, they got me. They sold me a bill of goods, and but here we are. There's no more Stadia, but that's not the point. But so Slow-Mo tried it and said it was okay for older games, but not necessarily good for like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So
It's locked 1080p 60 using some kind of like NVIDIA GPU that's like specifically designed for cloud. But it's like, what did I try? I tried, what's that game? Trails from Zero, which is like, I mean, a really like basic JRPG, and it was fine for that. It ran flawlessly. But you can link your Ubisoft account to it. So
Okay.
I linked my Ubisoft account, and then I got access to all of my Ubisoft games on PC, which is cool. So I was like, I tried the Division 2, and it wouldn't launch. Like there's some kind of issue. The Division doesn't recognize Luna, so they gotta get that fixed. So then I tried Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and oh boy, I mean, it was 1080p 60, but I kept getting the stuttering and skipping during combat, and it's just like long freezes of like 2 seconds, and I'm like, oh my god! So I was like, yeah, this ain't playable. So
Well, maybe Amazon needs to make a 10-year deal with Ubisoft, and they'll come through on that.
oh man, we're
maybe they need a 10-year deal to up that quality level.
Yeah.
I don't know.
BG, did Phil Spencer offer you a 10-year deal? By the way, I'm just curious.
I heard he's handing them out to everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
Maybe I should check my email.
Yeah. I may have to do the same. Yeah, he's handing them out. So also want to introduce B Money. What's up, B?
What's going on, fellas?
Not much. B, did you get a 10-year deal? I'm joking, by the way.
Nah, no 10-year deal for me, man. I'm still waiting on it though. I'm waiting on the call.
I hear you, man. I know someone that later on in the comments will be like, this BRAP, he's a pony, 10-year deal. We're just joking. It's just jokes, people. Just calm down.
I will say one 10-year deal I would approve of is if Xbox makes a 10-year deal with Nike to make some Xbox Jordans, I might be okay with that.
Yeah, I might be okay with that.
I'm not going to buy ones every year,
Some
but
Jordans.
I might buy one.
Yeah.
Would Nike be making this, or would Xbox be in charge of the production? Because if that's the case, you might get like the tongue missing, and then later on they say they're gonna patch that down, or like the soul's gone.
See, nah, come on, man.
I can't say that. I can't. All right, my
Nicole,
bad.
you know what's going?
Xbox here.
People would get upset, man. People would get upset and be like, "See, the ponies are at it again. They're making fun of." It's just jokes. No, that's pretty funny though, Slow-Mo. That's actually a reference to games. Somebody, this clearly is probably going to go over someone's head. Games releasing half baked, if you will. But anyhow, God, what was I going to say? Oh, Slummo. So GDC today. You guys, you and B Money, and I, I was working. I didn't really realize that the Epic live stream was on at the time. You guys were talking about it. What'd you guys think? I actually got a chance to play the Fortnite. Oh geez, what is it called now? The Desert Elimination. What is it called?
Domination.
Domination. Thank you. I did play a couple rounds of that.
It
It was okay.
How was it?
It was okay. Yeah, it's Domination. It's if you play I feel like if you play Domination in one game, you may have played them all. It's like I mean, like the map visuals. I mean, obviously it's kind of more like COD-like, more realistic, right? It looks good. But it's all right. There were some issues getting into the servers. Actually, the game crashed like twice trying to load in, and finally was able to load into it.
See, like, so it's kind of like I wouldn't say it's a misconception or they misled people, but a lot of what they showed today, especially with Fortnite Creative, what looks amazing, was running on Unreal Engine 5.2, which isn't officially out on Fortnite yet. I think Fortnite's running on 5.1, but that's like the dev created stuff, like Zero Build, regular Battle Royale, all the modes that they created is running on Unreal Engine 5. This year, they are taking the creative stuff, which is still, the last time I checked out any of it, it was on Unreal Engine 4, and moving that over. Now, what you played today, did it look like it was on Unreal Engine 5? Because there's a huge difference between Fortnite, Unreal Engine 4, and 5. Like, you can just tell the visual difference.
I honestly I couldn't tell, man. I haven't been on Fortnite in a while.
Okay, well, they might have it on 5 by now. I just know that, like, last year, it was still on 4, and it was pretty buggy for, like, some modes, but it's very diverse and very creative, the kind of stuff that people are coming up with, and, like, 50% of the people that play Fortnite are playing the creative modes and not the actual developer-created modes that everyone thinks Fortnite is all about. So it's pretty awesome, the stuff that they showed. That they showed specifically like a boss fight.
That
with
boss
like
fight,
two people, fighting this one boss. It looked amazing.
It did,
and I guess eventually at some point people will be able to create something like that in Fortnite and have a mode like that for other people to play. And I don't know financially how this works out, because they said that somehow they're gonna guarantee that 40% of all Fortnite revenue goes to their creators.
Yeah, I saw that.
But like those, like all that stuff is kind of free. So like there's no like you guys spend money to go play a creative mode, because Fortnite's free itself. So I don't know how that's gonna work, or some like if there's like I don't know, specific skins that are like that you would like earn from
I'm sure
playing those modes.
it'll probably work similar to how Roblox creators work, because like those games are free as well.
But some of them are paid.
Yeah, I mean some of them are paid, but even the free content stuff, creators still earn the revenue back from those creations.
Yeah, it's companies. They're going to share 40% of the item shop net revenue with creators, is my understanding.
I mean, would it kind of work like Game Pass, where there's essentially like for each instance of somebody playing that content, right, represents some kind of unit or credit that
Right. So like
translates to monetization.
So like if Game Logic makes a mode and his mode gets like, I don't know, like 100,000 concurrent players playing that on a daily basis, but BRAP creates a mode and it's only got 10. Game Logic gets more of a cut than BRAP does, if BRAP gets anything at all.
Yeah, because it's something similar to that on Roblox. Because I know a couple of people who've done a lot of creations on there, and they have like stuff that you can buy, like like little animals and stuff you can buy to walk around with your character, but they actually make a lot of revenue just off making the actual world that people go into. So
yo, Roblox got some interesting games in there. Like there's an actual first-person shooter in there that looks like Like I first saw it, I
Roblox?
was like,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like my
I
son
forgot the
was
name
playing.
of it. I think it's something Frontline.
Yeah,
But
my
it's
son
a
was.
first-person shooter in
My
there.
son
That's
was playing
like,
it.
It does not look like a Roblox game
No,
at
it
all.
doesn't.
Looks like a
No, it doesn't at all.
regular, like not triple A, but maybe double A first-person shooter. It looks
Yeah.
really good. I haven't got a chance to play it yet, but like most people think of Roblox, they think of like the Minecraft-looking, blocky-looking characters, but
Mhm.
that's like it's kind of evolved beyond that. People are making a lot more interesting stuff in there. But if I'm Roblox, I'm looking at what came out today, and I'm like, oh damn, because it's like we ain't got nothing that can match, Unreal Engine 5 or those kind of assets. So pretty interesting.
Yeah, I was thinking about creating something in Fortnite. I call it the Halo project, and so I'm going to make Halo with actual content.
There you go.
Oh man,
Too soon.
not soon enough because we needed content.
Look,
Keep the game alive, so.
I've been enjoying season 3 so far, for the most part. I think so.
Yeah, season 3 is good.
Yeah,
It's
it's not
good.
too bad. Yeah, it's not too bad.
If you played it now, all the content that you wanted at launch is there now. It's just that people are probably not going to give it another shot at this point.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
It's an interesting, thing to contemplate, right, from a competitive stance, right? Because Halo Infinite had its shot, right, when Vanguard was out, because Vanguard wasn't that good. But it didn't really gain the traction that it needed to then. And now it's up against Modern Warfare 2, which has a ton of content and is actually really good. So, it's just a different tale of the tape here, a year later.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, they had Battlefield 2042 was busted at
Yeah.
launch, so there was
Right,
that.
right.
Still didn't, yeah.
Yeah. That's a great point. The other thing, Slow-Mo, you tweeted this out, GDC, the Unreal, the metahuman mocap technology running the main actress for Hellblade 2. So Ninja 3 actually tweeted that out as well. That actually looked pretty good.
That was like the fact that like mocap, mocap acting takes like months to get done, and metahuman, they already showed us metahuman before. This is like metahuman 2.0, so it's like metahuman with metahuman animator added to it. And like live on stage, they had the Hellblade actress come out. She comes out, she takes an iPhone, takes like 3 selfies, and then she does a whole, like, I guess a script they asked her to do, and she makes some facial expressions and stuff. And then it's like they're just kind of just small talk on stage. Then like probably wasn't even 5 minutes later, maybe like 2-3 minutes later, they actually had her in Unreal Engine, completely mocapped, doing the recording and everything, and they just took that iPhone video and mocapped it, and it looked just like her. Everything would sound like the even though there was a little bit of uncanny valley in there. You know how it is with like mocap stuff. Sometimes like the eyes are a little too dead. There's not enough. You can just definitely tell there's no life there. But it was kind of it was much closer than what you get from a lot of games.
You're talking about that blank stare, Slow-Mo.
Yeah, a little bit of the blank stare with the eyes, but it was like
Blink.
the fact that they did that in like 2 minutes. Just imagine like a game developer, right, is going to spend months working on things like that. If you can kind of cut away some of the work you have to put in for a few months and then get to that point already, then it's just imagine the extra work you can do to make that like flawless. So I thought that looked really amazing. Then they showed she did a line, she said it was her favorite line from Hellblade 2. So it was kind of like basically some scripted thing that they did from Hellblade 2, which looked amazing too. So it looked cool. I guess can we get Hellblade 2 eventually? At some point?
I see people kind of that rumor going around. Oh, it could release in November. It could be a surprise release, and I'm like, let's pump the brakes on that.
I mean, it should come out this year. It should, but should and will, because I mean, 2017. I will say that I think I think Hellblade has a better chance of being that, like, that critically acclaimed game that Xbox needs more than Starfield and definitely more than RedFall, though. I think that's actually the one that could like get in the 90s and like really, really impress people.
What do you think Ninja Theory needs to do to kind of make that leap from the first game to the second game? As far as like you played the first game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like everything that you remember from the first game, the puzzles, the combat, the story, they had mocap back then because they had their own proprietary mocap. So it's like all that stuff is real like familiar for people who played the game. What do you think needs to happen from the first game to the second game to kind of get that 90 Metacritic kind of review?
I think the combat was what was, very, just rudimentary and simple, and that's what they need to, vastly expand upon. Because if I remember, like the first game, they didn't really even give you any instructions on the combat. Like you just pressed buttons and you like kind of figured what each button did, but it wasn't like it was just very weird exactly how the combat worked. But it was very it was just very simple and bare bones. The story and the narrative was already there, and being this game that explored mental illness and like schizophrenia, you were already onto something that's rarely explored to begin with.
Right.
So that definitely gave it a lot of points. The visuals were good. So it's really just the combat. I think they get the combat right, you easily got a game of the year contender on your hands.
Yeah, my biggest gripe, well, one, the puzzles I thought were like
Oh
kinda
yeah.
annoying.
Yeah.
But like my biggest gripe was that it was no balance in the game. So like in the first half of the game, it was like 80% puzzles, 20% combat. And then by the time you beat those first two bosses, and then you gotta go to like that big tree,
Mhm.
like it switched to like maybe like 75% combat, 20% puzzles. It was just like no balance in between those things. Cause like I think some people may have dropped it before they even got to the combat heavy portions near the end of the game, where you're just getting bombarded by like literally kind of like the same NPC enemy over and over again. Cause that maybe had maybe three different types. There was like a big heavy dude and a smaller, faster one, and I think one with a shield or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But it was just like literally the same types over and over again. But there was so many of them, especially on that bridge, the
Mhm.
bridge part, and it's just like, man, like I think I kind of felt like they should have had all that combat in the beginning of the game so people could get familiar with it and comfortable with it. So then when you do the puzzles and then you get back to the combat, people remember what they need to do. Because I remember playing the game and then I remember doing the combat, thinking I had a good idea what I needed to do in the combat, and then like spending another 30-40 minutes on puzzles. Then I go back to combat and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, hold up. How I remember what the press here again, and I'm just trying to dodge and trying to figure it out all over again, and it's just like I didn't get enough time to actually get comfortable with that.
Yeah, and the game didn't have like great replayability. Like I remember I tried to beat that game again, especially for the platinum, because I think it only had like 10 trophies or something like that. A really small amount of trophies.
Mhm.
But it still had a platinum, and like there was no like level select or jumping to certain parts of the game. So most people have like 9 out of 10 trophies in that game or whatever it is, because everything was like tied to the story, tied to progression. So it was like there's a lot of people, and me too. I have one trophy in that in left for that platinum, and I just can't go back and get it because it's like I gotta replay all the way over again to like the end of the story just to get it. And it's just the story's not that good enough to just the game is just not that enjoyable the second time around because of the puzzles too.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah. I agree with that. Yeah. So like, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Go ahead, bro.
no, I was just gonna say I'm one of those people that have that one trophy left. I'm like, one of these days I might try to do it again, just to get to it. Because it's I'm missing like one of the puzzle runes, like on how they showed up on the wheel, like you have all the runes that light up. I missed one like in the very beginning. I'm like, damn, I gotta go back and do that. But I don't think the trophy pops until you go through the whole game again
Yeah.
Really?
or something like
Oh,
that. I
heck
think so.
no.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Nah, not for one trophy. I'm good.
Yeah, but want to welcome E to the show. What's up, E? Great to see you, man.
Yo, what's going on, gents? How y'all doing tonight?
Hey, man. Just But yeah, I think that game could be. I think maybe BG was kind of alluding to this that showpiece for the Xbox Series X. That's kind of been my one complaint about the Xbox Series X is that like I've still been waiting for that showpiece, that that game that shows us, the ability of that console. Is, they talk as Microsoft marketed it, when they announced it, they were marketing it as kind of the console, or the, what is it, eats monsters for breakfast, or whatever it was, the 12 teraflops and all this other stuff. So maybe this is that game. That's that showpiece for Xbox Series X. So, but that mocap sequence that looked really good, and so even the footage when Microsoft first announced the game, I thought looked pretty good as well. And when they showed that one scene, I don't know if there was a lot of debate whether that one scene they had where I think she's fighting, and was it an ogre or something, or some kind of, I forget what it was.
Something was chasing her or whatever.
Yeah, like they were in a cave or something, or I don't remember. But
that's supposed to be like
showings
one of the Norse gods or something like that. But that showing wasn't very like good.
None of the showings have been very good. Yeah.
No. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought visually it didn't look too bad. But again,
visually it looked fine.
Yeah, but it was very.
But on the mocap side of it, like Ninja Theory's been on point with that for a long, long time.
Oh, absolutely.
That's something that they've always like excelled in. And I think when you had a case of like a game like Hellblade, I think you could see a studio that was, I won't say they were trying to survive still. You could see they had a limited budget. They had a concept. It felt very much like a concept game that had a limited budget. And I thought for what they did, like, was really cool. And they've always kind of been like that studio that was like on that cusp. So I was cool with it when Microsoft, acquired them, because I know that they were kind of at a point where they were going to close the doors. And I was like, now they're too talented of a studio to go away. And I'm glad, that kind of put them like on the platform for people to kind of like recognize. I'm like, they've been talented for a very long time, because they did the DMC game, which I know is polarizing for some people. I actually really enjoyed that game. Enslaved is one of my favorite games. But they've always been right at that cusp and kind of needing that extra, that extra budget, and hopefully they got that now. So hopefully we'll see.
Wait,
pretty dope.
I think that was I think are you confusing Team Ninja and Ninja Theory? Are we?
No. What's that? Wait, no, wasn't I? No, I thought Ninja Theory did the DMC game.
They did. Yeah,
they did.
They did
Then I'm confusing them. Damn.
Yeah,
they did
the
young DMC.
Yeah, in 2013 they
okay.
released that. They released that game. Yeah.
I still confuse them. I guess. Like, I forget who did what sometimes.
No, that's easy to do. It's easy to do. But Ninja Theory is always, they were kind of
That's the Kung Fu Chaos.
Team Ninja was on like Neo and everything like that.
Yeah, they did.
Time, so yeah,
they did Kung Fu Chaos too. If people remember that game on the original Xbox.
Yeah.
Heavenly Sword is probably the one game that I think a lot of people remember them by. For PlayStation 3. And that was like 2006 or 7. I don't remember. So
I think it was like 2007, I believe.
Yeah. And then, also Bleeding Edge, which we won't talk about, but
Damn, I forgot about that game.
Yeah, me too. Until I
think
thought
about
it was
Hey, man, look, man, Bleeding
Passion
Edge
projects,
wasn't that
man.
bad. It just needed some work and
Yeah.
way more resources, and they needed to listen to the community when we was like, yo, your map is way too big for these characters to be moving this slow. And it had this problem.
Oh, they move
but it
painfully
wasn't
slow.
terrible.
I like Bleeding Edge a lot, so you weren't the only one.
Yeah, I was there. I was playing it until there was nobody to play with. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm done.
Yeah, I couldn't get into it. Couldn't get into it. Were you King KD on that game, Slomo?
Man, I played support for the most part.
Or did you go 22 and 46?
Hey, Enrique, man, you gonna have to stop with the slander, bro. It was one match, bro.
I got a bunch of chops just a little bit because, man, I was surprised. I've never seen anything like that. It's like Jordan missing, free throws. Like what happened? Missed a free throw?
Oh, look, it definitely ain't like that. I ain't that good.
Slomo usually go like 35 and 2, man. So
see, look, here we go on the whole other side of it. Like I can't remember the last time I went 35 and 2.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just look, man.
No. And with Bleeding Edge, I usually play support. I like the guy. There was this black kid who would like play on his cell phone while the fight's going on. I thought he was like the coolest character in the game for the most part. Him and the samurai dude. Other than that, like all the other characters were busted fugly. Like I don't understand how you make a hero shooter and make characters that damn ugly. Like part of the reason why people like hero shooters, they think the characters are cool. You look at Overwatch. Overwatch ain't really that good a game, but you look at how the stands of Overwatch like freaking go gaga over the way these character models are, and you think about like, all right, so like are they half are playing the game because they enjoyed it, half really like this character that they're playing as. Then you get Bleeding Edge coming out, and you got this. Look, no offense to anybody that's obese, but good grief, this woman is humongous, right? You got this humongous woman on a tricycle or something, and then you got like a literal corpse being like possessed by a snake, which is real creative but also ill. Like I don't want to look at that. And so it's just like you got all these ugly ass characters, and then you got like two cool looking guys. But anyway, the healer that I used to use, he had like this like hover like seat or something, and he would just play on his phone and just heal people and like barely pay attention. I just thought like he was so cool, like the way like he looked, and also I'm like, you know, healing people, kind of keeping people alive, because like you play a hero shooter, you know, if you ain't got a good support, your team's gonna lose. So I ended up always having to play that because everybody wanted to be DPS.
Yeah, that was kind of my frustration with that too. That game, like nobody wanted to play together, and I forgot. I think the character I played with when I played it a few times was there a guy like with a guitar or something, like an old man or something? I forget.
No, he
was weird looking.
Corpse too.
I don't know.
BG, you remember that? Like I
know he had a guitar.
Yeah, I can't remember.
He had like some kind of like special.
You know, it's funny. This wasn't that long ago. It's like we were talking about this game. Like,
I know.
Like 10, 15 years ago. Like, remember that?
Yeah, remember that time? remember that game? Like 20. Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't remember.
No, that was actually a pretty popular character in the game. I just can't remember. I remember he had a guitar. I think he was like a zombie or something. I don't remember.
Okay,
but
yeah. No, I hear you, man. Let me grab the super chat real quick. Sayanu.com with the $3 super chat. Thank you, sir. Says check out Hong Kong Massacre if you like John Wick 4. Thank you for that recommendation. Appreciate it. I don't know what Gregor Von Doom was trying to say about you, Slomo. Slomo took his ankle watching in game. I don't know what that means. Like,
this is a scumcast joke.
Oh, okay.
From years ago.
Gotcha. Okay.
I have like, I'm old, so I got like busted knees. And
yeah. I know the knee jokes that have it with you, and I mean, you're not that old, man.
No, I really do feel like they talked a bad knee into existence, because I had no knee or ankle problems until everybody started cracking these jokes, and then became a running joke. Now all of a sudden my right knee is just like,
oh man,
my right knee has been terrible.
They wished it to existence, man.
Yeah, I've been walking like a 80-year-old this past 3 weeks.
Oh man, I hear that. All right. I do want to move on to Marvel Spider-Man 2. BG, I just saw you did a video about that today, too. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but looks like Tony Todd, who's the voice actor for Venom. Tony Todd, for those who don't know, was I know Tony Todd just from the movie, oh God, what is it now? Candyman. What is that movie?
And in Worf's brother in Star Trek The Next Generation.
Oh, that's right. He was in Star Trek Next Generation. Thank you for that, Elijah. When did Candyman come out? I feel like that came out like, we talk about like joking around
the
like
90s.
Yeah, like late 90s, early 90s, I think, right?
Probably early 90s. Double check.
Don't say his name 3 times. But he casually revealed that
1992.
Oh wow, okay. He casually revealed that Marvel Spider-Man 2 is expected to arrive. Could be arriving like September of this year. That tweet's been since removed, but look. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about this release window for Spider-Man? Look, obviously for me, sooner the better. I'll take Spider-Man. If Sony wants to release it in July, I'll take it then. But what do you guys think?
I was hoping for it.
September?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
I thought it made sense. Being September, start of the, I guess I call that start of the gaming year after August and July, when people take a break, typically take a break from gaming, I guess. And it makes sense. The first one came out in September, and Spider-Man doesn't really feel like an October or November game. It doesn't really feel like that. So yeah, I think that timing lines up.
You know what's interesting, BG, is that while I certainly want Spider-Man as soon as possible, and I'm also thinking about September, and I'm also thinking about the other big game that's not really September. Never mind. I messed the date up there. Actually, no. I'm sorry. When is Starfield releasing? September 9th.
Yeah, September.
I'm sorry.
Starfield is September.
Yeah, they've had so many release dates. I thought I was like, oh wait a minute, November 11th. No, that was the first date, but it's released September. So those are two big games that are coming out September. And I feel like that's kind of like, I think BG, like you said, kind of like September's kind of like, seems like more recent, at least like that's like the month when like people like gaming season kind of like kicks up again, you know, like there's a little bit of lull towards the summertime, and then like September comes, it's like boom, we start getting those releases again. But that's gonna be a huge September. Like Sano.com said, it's gonna be massive. Yeah. So, but yeah, I look, Spider-Man 2 is one of my most anticipated games of 2023, along with Starfield, which I'm telling everyone going to be game of the year. I know I get a lot of pushback. You don't have, it's okay, Slow-Mo.
Hey, look, man, you know how I feel about Bethesda in-house games, man. Overrated, bro. But look, I'm happy for all you guys. I hope you guys love it.
Overrated.
I hope you find the bugs charming. And yeah.
I don't know why you say overrated, sir.
Yeah, I'm not a
Their
in-house, games
around them.
Yeah, I'm more of a fan of the other, like Arcane and their other studios. Never really been into Elder Scroll and Fallout.
Yeah. So BG, are you
the true talent?
Oh man,
did you say the true talent?
That's right.
Oh, come on, that is slander. That is, come on.
No, that's actually science. That's factual science.
He said it's science.
I have yet to see any of those other studios trot out some guy in a dusty old leather jacket and tell lies to y'all about what the game's gonna do. So.
Hey, leave Todd Bless alone. Don't slander that man's name. That's greatness, Slow-Mo. You gotta put respect on that man's name. Hey, and DMV, sir.
I don't care. They're from around here. They should know better than.
It's kind of funny that Arcane kind of has like the opposite reputation. They're like people, like their games have like a certain definition to them now, where you bring up an Arcane game, people know the characteristics of their game. They're going to be polished. They're going to give you a certain level of freedom and choice. And an unorthodox way of playing. It's not like this. Sometimes it's a linear world, but they give you like real choices in that world. Like what you see, you can kind of do. Like you need to get into a house. There's a front door, but I see a window. Can I go in that window? Yeah, you can go in that window. That's another way to get it. That's what people think of when they think of Arcane games: polish, creativity, and that type of freedom.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, BG. And it's funny. Like all jokes aside, like we. Like the polish, and then you have Bethesda, which is kind of the opposite, where it's kind of like I don't know if it's a running joke, but like people say, the charm of the Bethesda games is the bugs, because they're these these huge open world games where you can pretty much do anything you want. But Starfield is one of my most anticipated games of 2023. I mean, I've enjoyed a lot of the Elder Scrolls games. I mean, Skyrim just turned not Skyrim. I'm sorry. Oblivion just turned 17 years old, or say it's been 17 years since its release. Just had its 17th year anniversary, I think, this week. And I remember when that game released. I mean, that was kind of like it released on the Xbox 360. That game was kind of like I don't know if you guys remember. It was like for us. I mean, what I remember is like, wow, this is next gen. Like this is, to me, that was like next gen. Seeing that game, especially coming from Morrowind, the previous generation.
Which of their games was the first one to show up on PlayStation? Because I remember like Morrowind was only on the Xbox, and I can't remember.
I think it was Skyrim.
Skyrim?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was Skyrim.
Because I believe Oblivion was exclusive to the 360.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, like this is Todd Howard's first new IP in 20-something years. Is that? I think I got that right. But
and a lot riding on it.
Yeah, I mean that's
Hey.
yeah.
I was about to say, no, BG, you mentioned that on Weapon Wheel, man. And I couldn't agree with you more. From what you said about it, it's like it almost has too much weight. Like I won't say unfairly, but this is supposed to be the one that saves everything. That's a lot of weight to have on one game, man. Like it can't like stumble.
It's like,
I mean, it can, but yeah.
It's like this one game is supposed to be like Xbox's Moses, where it sets every other game free or something like that, or just takes it to the promised land. I'm like, why? It's kind of unfair. Like, why is this all on one game?
BG's Todd coming down with these stone tablets in his arms.
I mean, that does
Pretty
make
much.
a lot of sense. I mean, especially considering this is a studio, a developer where their games are, they have a niche. They have a particular demographic that loves these kind of games, but not necessarily everyone loves them. And I'm sure, like, Skyrim has sold a gazillion million copies and been on every platform 5 times, and they re-released it a gazillion times. But it's, what you're getting from a Bethesda RPG, and not everybody is into that. Not everyone who likes Western RPGs is into that, and not everyone who likes RPGs in general is into that. So, like, I kind of agree, like, expecting it to surpass what their RPGs have always been, and be like this global phenomenon that's going to get, like, say, hey, like, this is why I bought an Xbox Series X, and this is, exactly what they need. I don't know if it's capable of doing that. I don't even know if Skyrim did that back then. I mean, because if you were an RPG fan, did you play it? Did you care?
I think Skyrim. What I remember with Skyrim is it kind of really was with that game. Like, it almost reminded me a little bit of the Elden Ring effect, where, like, I remember, again, this is anecdotal, but I do remember people who hadn't been introduced, people that I knew that were gaming on the 360 and hadn't really played the Elder Scrolls games, and Skyrim was like their first jump into that series, and they loved it. Like, it was just this big, it was a big deal back then. And so, but I do agree. Like, I do think that, and I think in part that really the community, the Xbox community, they're putting a lot of, like, eggs in their basket with this game. Like, oh, it's going to be amazing, game of the year, yada yada yada. I'm like, let's not. Let's
You said a lot of. They putting all the eggs.
Yeah, they're putting a lot. Yeah, that's yeah.
Mhm.
And I
hope to play it.
Well, yeah. Well, I think
Because
this game,
it's like,
game can't skip leg day.
yeah, because it's like, I don't even know if the same if the Xbox, like the hardcore Xbox fans, is this like the same demographic that played, the Bethesda type games, the Skyrim and the Fallout? Maybe it is. I don't know. I always looked at like Fallout and those games, like, I don't know. I always looked at them like it's games that PC guys liked more. At least when I first, like, started paying attention to them, I'm like,
stuff that they could do with it.
I always felt like, nah, that's PC gamers love that more.
Yeah.
Like, I never really felt like console gamers loved it as much. Fallout more. Yeah, Fallout, I definitely felt like console gamers, had an attachment to it. But, like, the Elder Scrolls series, not as much. But I don't know. That was just my perception. So I was never sure.
Yeah. Logic, what do you think, man? Because you do a lot of PC gaming. Do you feel like there's more people, like, maybe, I don't, that maybe that series resonates a little bit more with PC gamers?
It's hard to tell. I mean, it's hard to tell because the Bethesda faithful are kind of on the fanatical end of the spectrum. Kind of in that bend where Final Fantasy fans are, and that bedrock of a community kind of got shaken at its core with Fallout 76. And so before then, I would have said I don't know that it makes that much of a difference across platforms. I think a lot of the Bethesda fanatics and fans play those games on console as well as on PC. But now with Fallout 76, I think that my guess is that demographic got a little broken up, and so it's just equally as hard to predict, right? Who's mainly kind of salivating about Starfield and any notion of return to greatness of Bethesda. The big thing for me is Bethesda, BioWare, I have 4 studios: Bethesda, BioWare, CD Projekt Red, and it was 3 Bs and a C, and Blizzard. Are kind of 4 studios that need to kind of prove that they've got their mojo back. And so it's an uphill battle for any of those studios, I think, whenever they're doing something new. You know, CD Projekt Red kind of took a couple softball hits with, you know, putting out The Witcher next gen, but that doesn't really like cement them back to being at the performance level of their legacy. And I don't know. I guess that kind of is what's more so in the forefront of my mind than which platform people are looking for those games on.
Yeah. Well, that's a great point, Logic. And speaking of Arkane, I want to go back to Arkane here because we did get some Redfall previews, and one of the things, like this game really wasn't really moving the needle for me much. I was kind of like, I think like you, Slimo, kind of like, okay, like what's the gunplay going to be like for this game? You know, because that seems to be a central, like core, like, you know, gameplay mechanic for this game. Where, you know, I think we talked about it earlier, somewhat like where, you know, previous Arkane games, or, you know, like if you think about what's it called, Dishonored,
Name any of them, honestly.
yeah, the kind of like more stealth, you know. Yeah, and
it's never been something that's a big focus for them. And
No.
I think when it came to Deathloop, that was the biggest drawback to Deathloop, why I didn't finish it. To me, is just that they didn't really improve on the gunplay enough to justify that kind of play style with, you know, that kind of game. I can understand it with Dishonored, where you're kind of like, they kind of want you to go stealth. You know, you have the option to go loud, but it's like,
yeah,
it's harder to do it that way. It's just much easier to go stealth if you wanted to. So this clearly isn't that kind of game. You could do stealth in Redfall, from what people are saying who looked at the previews, but like, you, for a game like this, you need to make sure that you're solid on the gun mechanics. And for the most part, I didn't really see anyone saying they thought the gunplay was bad. I just saw like passable, it's good enough, to it's really good. So that's at least they nailed that. And I heard they'd like talk to id Software devs to make sure that they had that down, which is great. You know, it was good. Might as well talk to people that are all under the same umbrella that do this better than you. So definitely is a smart idea to do that. But I mean, I guess I'll just have to see for myself.
yeah,
But I'm kind of, yeah, like, I like their ideas and I like how creative they are. Their weakness has always been this thing. And here you are kind of leaning into the thing that is your weakness. You're going to need to make sure that you're good at that.
You know, so I was going to ask you about that earlier, and I forgot to. Like, when I was watching the previews, I said, I wonder if they were talking to like some of the other studios, like id or whatever, because what it kind of looked like in the gunplay, it looked like it had weight to it, where some of their other games just that wasn't a thing. Like you said with Deathloop, you know, even though I like the game, you're right. It's like, if it makes sense, it had like a floatiness to like how their shooting went, which kind of fell back into the Dishonored thing, which, like you said, Dishonored wasn't about like gunplay and shooting. It was about, you know, stealth and like, you know, stabbing techniques, stuff like that. But looking at the gunplay in Redfall, it definitely looks like there's more weight to like how the guns fire and how, you know, you're aiming down sights and stuff like that. And that's not what you usually see from them.
Yeah. I did see an improvement based off from what I first initially saw, which I think is okay. But like, I guess sometimes you can see a game and you think like, oh man, that's going to play great. And then you play it and you're like, the hell happened? So it's just like, I'm just kind of the mind, like, I just need to play it myself. Like, I can't really, I will take other people's word and say like, it felt great to me. It felt fine to me. Cool. But like, the ultimate determination's gotta be like me getting my actual hands on it and playing it myself. Until then, I'm still like on the fence with them. And it's kind of like, you know, even though I give Bungie a lot of crap, like when Bungie drops content, I know what to expect from them, because, and I don't really doubt the gunplay aspects because they're good at that. You know, like certain developers, you just know, look, they got that part down. There's no worries there. So it's usually because there is a resume of good experiences that they've done in those aspects. You see it with any other game. Like Naughty Dog comes out with a game, you expect the story to be on point. You expect the quality level and the cinematic stuff to be on point, because what have we seen from them up until now? We've seen all that stuff be on point. You just have an expectation. But if the expectation typically is like not that good, then you gotta go, all right, well, I've heard the thing is that I've heard people say in preview mode, as I like to call it, it looks great, and then in review mode, it ain't that great.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like in preview mode, everything's fine. Wow, awesome! It's great. Let's love the story. Again, the review mode, look, man, got real redundant. I got tired of these guns. It's like 2 guns that's good, and then 30 that suck. I'm like, what the heck? What the heck happened? 2 months ago, you said it was great. So it's like I've learned. I've learned. I wait until I can play it before I can say what's what.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So some of the go ahead, BG.
Yeah, I was saying, like, I've just been, going back and forth through RedFall. I'm buying it. But like, it's like each showing, I'm like, this looks good, this don't look as good, this don't look good, but this look good. I don't know. It's like the game kind of looks somewhat bland. It's like somewhat they praise it, they say, it's good or it's great, but just looking at it doesn't really, something about it visually seems bland, and makes it feel like the gameplay isn't that fun to play. It doesn't look like, there's just something very, I don't know, like almost kind of just dry about it. I can't even put my finger on it, but there's even some parts that look generic, but it could just be one of those games where you have to play. There's some games that don't look good just watching, and you have to play it.
Yeah, I think to BG's point, as far as it looking like kind of dry, even when they show like the multiplayer, when there's 4 people playing, it doesn't seem like it's chaotic enough to have like 4 players playing at the same time. As far as like all the gameplay that they've shown, it looks like something you can kind of just run through, and it doesn't really have anything that's super interesting about it. Even some of the stuff that I saw today from the preview, it just looks basic. You know what I mean? It's nothing that is screaming out to me. And I'm a huge fan of Arcane's work, but like this game just isn't really doing much for me.
Is it okay? So like this kind of leads what Beak just said, kind of leads to something that I saw in one of the previews, and it was I think it was Mr. Matty Plays that talked about the AI, and he said that the AI of the cultists was like not just bad, it was just like they were dumb, like they're just like kind of walking into walls, kind of dumb, like you almost feel bad shooting the NPC because it can't defend itself, dumb. And it's just like I'm thinking that's gotta be a bug or something, right? That's gotta be some kind of issue that but like to see that in preview, and he's playing, everyone that played the preview played as single player. There was no co-op going on, and for him to kind of feel like it was killing the cultists was easy, and it's just that kind of worried me. That's kind of like a new worry. My biggest concern has been that there is no co-op progression, and that kind of like blows. Like, I coming from someone who loves Borderlands and has played that with friends and ran through it multiple times and played tons of multiplayer games with friends. I always find it the most annoying with it is when one person is the host, and it turns out they got all the progression for all the work y'all did. Y'all just played the game for 2-3 hours together, had a great time. But then now you get back to your game, and now you gotta do that same content again. The same side missions, the same story missions, the same everything. You gotta do it all again by yourself, or maybe convince your buddies to do it again with you. And it's just like, more than likely or not happening. Nor do you kind of want to go through it all again anyway. And it's like, you should just get credit for the progress because you did it, whether you did it solo or not. this has been done like for over a decade with other games where if you get back to your game and you get close to that mission, there's a pop-up that says you've done this already. You want to skip this? You can do it again if you want, but you can skip it and at least give us the option. You know, but when you don't do that, you kind of make it so like there is this tension, so to speak, with co-op. Like I remember playing Remnant from the Ashes with Luca. And although we were having a great time and didn't really mind it, later on in the game, we started to get annoyed with the fact that like we just killed these 2 bosses. All right, tomorrow we going, I'll be the one that's going to host. We're going to fight these same 2 bosses again. It's just like I don't feel like doing this. Like you just don't feel like doing that. Like you basically had beat the game twice, and it's just like why put people through that? I just don't understand why that's like, and I see that they're working on making sure it's not an always online game. I just like don't understand why that has been a requirement, and it's something that it seems like they're not pushing off their square on. I think that's something they really need to address, because when it comes out, people start playing that game, they're gonna start seeing a dip. I think when people are just like, yeah, I was having fun, but yeah, I'm not trying to do this by myself. And I just did all this other content with, my buddy, and he was hosting, and now, yeah, I'm just not doing that again. And like that's like the last thing you really want, people to say about your game, I think.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Someone again, I think the gold standard there for at least me in my experience is your favorite game, Borderlands. So, I want to get this super chat real quick. $5 super chat from Cycle Gamer. Thank you for that super chat. It says, if game was not officially announced for Xbox and Sony buys it, would you all say Sony took the game from Xbox? If so, why is it an issue if Xbox does it? I don't have an issue with that. I mean, it's part of the business,
Yeah, I got no issue with it. Like I think most people are, it's like I said in my video, hanging on the word of Phil Spencer, and that's why Phil Spencer just needs to like talk a little bit less, because if you Google like just stuff that Phil Spencer said, it's so much that you like sometimes get confused. I'm like, okay, he said this, and when did he say this, and what was the last thing he said, and he said it in what context? He talks too much. Right? Like
he does
stop talking, dog. It's like stop talking. There's too many quotes from you from the past years, and people are holding that over your head, and it's like, and a lot of it seems to be your personal thoughts and not your actual like Xbox executive thoughts, and people are gonna assume because that's your title that you're talking from almost like a company standpoint. So when you say you're against exclusives, and he literally said, exclusives, that's counter to what he likes. People are thinking you're speaking on behalf of Xbox when you're not really. You're speaking on behalf of Phil Spencer. And, stop, I think you need to like stop injecting your personal feelings about gaming into things.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Yeah, that was a good video that you had today, BG. That's kind of why I want to have you on too, because as we found out that Arcane Studios did confirm that in fact RedFall was in development for PlayStation 5, and obviously Microsoft came in, acquired Bethesda ZeniMax. That's no longer the case. So, but to your point, BG, like he does talk a lot, and Logic, you and I were talking about this earlier, like you say, like I don't want to put words in your mouth, Lodge, but I think you kind of were saying that he at times he speaks for, like as a gamer, right?
Yeah, I mean, just over the years, where I've gotten to with Spencer is I've just had to realize to try and understand like which facet Phil is speaking of. I mean, I think BG said it, in the same way that I kind of view it. Right, there's sometimes he's talking as a gamer. I use the lofty term gaming philosopher. It's his ideological utopia of what gaming and the gaming industry should look like.
The Socrates of gaming.
Right. And I absolutely believe if somebody made Phil Spencer queen for the day and gave him the scepter, he would you know, he
Why
would waive
Queen,
it.
though?
Yeah, I was about to say that. Why Queen? I'm curious. Not King. Why Queen?
Because it's a more interesting scenario to say than King. You know, I absolutely believe that he would waive the magic scepter, right, and forbade exclusives, and he would want all games on all platforms. I absolutely believe that that's the way Phil, the gaming philosopher, thinks. But then he goes into the boardroom and has to make decisions with his staff, and he, I'm convinced, has to do things that he as a philosopher doesn't want to do, but has to do because that's what he has to do for the business. And then that's where, kind of like BG said, right, you get these people taking sound bites and things out of context, and then saying, he said this one time, he said this the other time. Now, it's a weird thing to me. There are
That's happening right now, by the way. Logic. That people, yeah.
Right. I mean, let me take that back off the table about it being weird to me. When you are somebody like Spencer, or I think BG mentioned perception, and I think you guys have always heard me talk about before. You know, I talked to a lot of employees about, you know, perception, image, exposure, pie. That's a thing you have to manage. And so if you're any type of public figure, that's a thing that's always going to go on, and you're always going to have the company of people who say you're a liar, the company of people who say things like I just said, that, you know, they understand that you're saying different things from different vectors, right, at different times. And you're going to have the other camp of people who just, you know, bow at your feet, you know, rub your feet with oil and praise every single thing that you say. And we see that amongst the gaming community and people's approach to Spencer. And so there's a ton of people out today saying, you know, more lies from Phil Spencer. And I'm like, that's a perception to have. And I understand that there's going to be a certain demographic that feels that way. I don't personally feel that way. I don't necessarily feel that he's lied. And now I'm probably going to get some hate because I think those scenarios are different than when I've commented on the show before how I feel like Sony in the past, not most recently, but Sony in the past has had a problem with messaging. And I feel like there have been times that Sony has deliberately said half of a story, right? The crossplay thing, right? We got a bunch of mudmouth stuff from Sean Layden, and then later from Jim Ryan, and then come the epic lawsuit with Apple and Google. We come to find out that was all because they were twiddling their thumbs diabolically trying to figure out, you know, how to come up with the revenue leakage parity clause.
Actual devs called them out too. That's actually what I thought was
right. Yeah. Now I put a little color commentary in there to spice it up a little bit. It's like, but I mean that's I mean so many times I feel like Sony says things that are deliberately half a story. You know, Sean Layden saying, and he wasn't even a PlayStation employee at the time, right? That, you know, Game Pass isn't sustainable. Well, to me, the other obvious half of that statement is Game Pass is not sustainable for a company the size and scale of Sony, right? But it's sustainable for a company like Microsoft who can afford to take losses. So I just perceive and view those things differently. So it's just interesting to see how the community's taken up each case.
Yeah, I don't, and I've seen people saying he's lied. Like there was a video out there that I saw and where he says, like, you know, specifically like to the acquisition of ZeniMax and ZeniMax Bethesda, where he's like, look, you know, we're not gonna, and I'm paraphrasing here, but we're not gonna, you know, take away, you know, existing games that are on PlayStation right now, the games that are already released or that have communities. The communities being, you know, the multiplayer games like the Elder Scrolls Online. But pretty much like anything,
Fallout 76, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Fallout. But everything after that is like fair game for, you know, exclusivity, and that's what's happened. I mean, I don't think he's. I see someone in the chat saying he lied. I watched that video. I mean, I if he's saying, look, games that are currently out on PlayStation and that are ZeniMax Bethesda published games, and those are going to be like the Fallout 4s. Those are going to be the Skyrims. Those are going to be, Ghostwire Tokyo and what we were just talking about the arcade game that came out, Deathloop and Dishonored. Like those games, they're not going anywhere. Like those are going to still stay there. But, you know, and if games that requires, you know, that have communities that where there's going to be updated content, new content, we're going to support that. But he did say, look, you know, anything, you know, new, like, after that, like it's going to be exclusive. I mean, I thought he's pretty clear about that. So I just don't know. I guess I should say I don't know where the confusion. I think obviously he's said a lot. Like remember when he talked about exclusives being counterintuitive. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me just ask this quick. What? Okay, people keep throwing that out there.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. Like, and I always say like, like Logic said, like DG said, there are things that executives are going to say that some may be on point with the message, and then some may just not be. That's just how it is. Like it's corporate speak. It's the way that things kind of go. But what is the end game for proving that he lied? Besides going back and forth with people, again, bunch of nobodies on Twitter all day long, going back and forth. What is the end game? What
EJ, there's a whole court on Twitter.
Stopping you.
I mean, every
Twitter court.
Yeah, right. I mean, every day Judge Judy's in session.
Yeah, I was sitting in front of GameStop with my money in hand about to buy this Xbox, and then the tweet came through that he lied. I'm not doing it. It's like, what's the end game? Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't disagree. I think that's a great point.
It's just like with Jim Ryan, we believe in generations, and people went on and on. I'm like, what's the end game?
Yeah, and
besides just going back and forth.
It's a different perception that's going to have. I mean, I think I'm not certain. I think everybody on this panel has both an Xbox and a PlayStation 5.
I do.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of us are we have hardware and we deploy it in our game rooms, and we have the hardware to skate and go to wherever a game shows up. So this whole thing to me was really just kind of a nothing burger. Like if Phil decides he's going to keep a game exclusive, so what? I have an Xbox. If Jim Ryan goes around and people use the term money hat, right? If he pays money to somebody with a marketing exclusive to keep something exclusive on PlayStation, so what? I'll go to PlayStation and play it. But I understand that there's a demographic of people who make a choice and maybe it makes a bigger deal to them. But I think it's still a bit. You make your choice and you make your choice, right? You make your choice, you make your bed and you lie in it, right? I mean the companies are going to do and whatever they're going to do, and they're going to decide whatever they're going to decide, and they don't owe you anything. That's a big theme of this week, right? And so if you decided that you were going to side with PlayStation and that's the brand you were going to buy, then you just suffer the consequences, right? When these companies make decisions.
Let's keep it a bean. We all knew there was a version of RedFall being developed on PS5 when they bought this publisher. Like, we all knew that. Like, anyone acting shock and awe today is full of it. We all surprised a publisher that's a multi-plat publisher was working on a game before it got acquired, and oh wow, it was supposed to be on PS5. Well, no, dummy. Of course it was supposed to be on PS5. All their games are going to be on PS5. Now they're not.
I knew it.
I knew it.
Over it. Like it doesn't freaking matter. If you want to play Redfall, buy a PC. Because you can't build, I know you can't build one, so get a pre-built, buy a PC, or buy an Xbox. Here are your options. If not, shut up.
They should be buying a PC, I might add, but that's
dudes jumping out the bushes like they caught their girl cheating.
Exactly.
I knew it.
How dare you?
That devil, I knew it. No, I mean, it's funny. Like you bring up the point. Hey, what's up, Forte? I see Forte just joined us. Look, you bring up a point, Slomo, that, like a lot of people, because I had people tell me, oh, Starfield was never developed. It was never announced. What? No, actually, like there was a video of Pete Hines saying it wasn't going to be exclusive until Microsoft bought them. So there are people that are, twisting the, words around to suit certain narratives. And it's just, like I saw somebody today say, you can't take something away. Somebody used a toy analogy. I'm like, no, that's not even the right analogy. It's not even a proper analogy as relates to software development, but okay. But yeah, I mean,
look, when people own stuff, they can do with it however they want.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they want to go back on their word and there's no actual regulator or whatever telling them, hey, you can't do that, then so freaking be it. If Sony, they said everything that Bungie makes going forward still going to be multi-plat. If they want to renege on that and their unannounced game they haven't shown yet that they're working on, it's supposed to come out after Destiny, turns out to be PlayStation exclusive and PC and coming out on PC. Well, go buy a PlayStation and be happy.
Yeah.
If you want to play it, if
I
not,
wouldn't be
then
mad at Bungie. I wouldn't be mad at Plays. I'd be mad at Bungie at that point.
But I don't
don't
think
be mad at nobody. You own both, and the PC. Where you should have been playing.
Well, you
What's
should
the
be.
deal?
Yeah, you should be playing.
That means all that fluff that was in that contract that they read didn't mean crap.
And so what? Who?
Oh, I don't care.
We
I'm
haven't
just
even
saying.
read. We don't even know what's in the contract. We have no freaking idea.
We were talking about.
We
We'll talk
just
about the
know what
10-year
they
deal in a
told
second.
us.
Yeah.
So it's just like whatever. Like it's if you want to play it, buy it where it is. This is why they make these kind of deals and do this kind of stuff. Is the reason why Xbox after 10 years is like, good luck.
Good luck.
Yeah. Hey, we'll see you. We'll see you when we see you. But we gave you 10. No, I mean, look, it's
Over
fun.
here.
I want to say one more thing because you tweeted this earlier. Like, can we stop? Like, people need to stop pretending these corporations are our friends and that they care about us. They don't care about us. I mean, like, if you haven't caught on to that fact, just based on this dialogue back and forth, and people projecting like one side being, I think that you were kind of addressing this today on Twitter, but people stop projecting their emotions on these corporations like one's bad or worse than the other. No. You know, no, Jim Ryan's not scared. No, Phil Spencer isn't lying, or they're behaving as companies do. This is what companies do when they try to protect their bottom line. Again, like we've said this on the show a million times, they have a fiduciary legal responsibility to do that, and that's why they're behaving in the ways they are right now, because there's money on the table, money. And as you say, E, they want to their job. What's the number one job of a corporation, E, to the consumer? What do you always say, man?
What's that?
What do you always say, E? The job of the corporation to the consumer. Like, what are they trying to do to us?
Oh, to separate you from your wallet.
Yeah, that's it. They don't care about your feelings.
Separate you from your wallet. It's like they're looking you in your eye, and the eye keeps going down to your pocket. It's like, up here, buddy.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I would use the.
I don't know, man. People got
I mean, if you
the
look at it
emotion,
from,
the emotions to get into it.
I would use the Tootsie's analogy for that too, E, but I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, exactly.
If you look at it,
your eyes keep going down to the titties. You know.
Oh man. Okay.
if you look at it from Jim Ryan's perspective, right? Look at his legacy. He at PlayStation. It's been pretty good so far, but now that he's running the show, like what he does now as the leader of PlayStation is going to be his legacy at Sony Interactive Entertainment. What does he want his legacy to be? That he's the guy in charge that lost Call of Duty and didn't do anything about it,
or didn't try to stop it, just rolled over. Okay, Microsoft, you
did nothing, just rolled over and took it. Like that's the like before he took over, they were flying high and everything was great. And then you lost Call of Duty, and then you just not even attempting to do anything to stop your competitor from just basically buying publisher after publisher after publisher. Of course, he's going to do something because he doesn't want to go out like a chump. He doesn't want that to be his legacy. So of course he's going to talk to regulators. He's going to paint a picture that like, oh, we need like COD is essential to our success. We can't survive without it, that kind of deal. He's going to say things to people who aren't quite exactly all tuned in to the gaming industry to kind of make it appear as if it is exactly what he wants it to be so that he can keep what he's got. He's not trying to take a L and lose some, and then he's sitting here at his annual evaluation trying to make excuses for the way things turned out.
Yeah, I mean
that's a fast way to be removed from your position.
Yeah.
That's
not his fault too. Go ahead, BJ.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm like, when people are complaining that PlayStation is saying ridiculous things to stop the merger, I'm like, yeah. Like, and yeah, they're gonna use every trick in the book. Yeah, listen, make up that they'll sabotage the game. Make up that, I don't know, that they got connections to I don't know, foreign sleeper cells, something ridiculous. Who cares? Right. Like, yeah, whatever you could throw at the wall, that's what you use. You think they're supposed to be fighting fair and only using arguments that are completely logical? No. So yeah, you should, like, Microsoft has said ridiculous things to sandbag themselves, to make themselves look weaker. Both sides are trying to make themselves look weaker. When we know Microsoft, some of the stuff they said is nonsense, but you should expect them to say that because both sides are trying to win the argument. So of course they're going to say ridiculous things. I don't know why people are like, oh, look at what Sony said. It's so dumb. Look what Microsoft. Yes, they're supposed to say stupid things. It doesn't matter. Say whatever you need to win.
Yeah,
it's like Microsoft saying that Call of Duty isn't that. It's not that big a deal. Not that important.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what if we split it all up and you don't get Call of Duty? What? No. So yeah, you're gonna do whatever you got to do. Say what you got to say. You know. And the thing is, if we weren't in the social media or anti-social media age, half of this stuff we wouldn't even hear about, 15, 20 years ago. They just be in a boardroom figuring it out, and then it happens. You wake up one morning on, CNN, they say, oh yeah, Microsoft just bought Activision. But now it's like, you got people like Lulu, like dropping and she has a dog in the fight. She has a reason to do what she's doing.
Oh yeah, she's gonna get a nice little payout.
But does I can't get none 68 on Twitter have a dog in the fight? No, they just want to go back and forth with people all day. It's like, this is what it is, Behind closed doors, they're gonna say what they need to say. And yeah, and people are like, well, Jim, he's not taking the deal. Like Microsoft trying to be nice about it and give him the deal. It's like, if a mogul came along, like you just paid your house off now, but you know what? I'm about to buy the whole block up. But you know what? Every 5 years you can come back and stay in your old apartment. You're not gonna try to fight that?
I think some of these people might just roll over the way they act. I mean, like it's crazy, and it's just like people saying lame tactics. Well, I mean, like, okay, like maybe lame to you, but like there's a lot of money on the table. You were going to protect your investment, and it just it's just really weird when I see people like talking about this deal like this.
Negotiations 101, you do not take the first deal.
No,
you never take the first deal. That's the opening salvo. That's the opening offer.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Even if the opening offer is exactly what you wanted, that's even better.
Yeah, I don't know.
Go a little bit higher than that and see what else you can get. That goes for everything.
Yeah,
salary, like at your job, you just get a new job. You thinking, hey, I'm trying to get in and get this. This is how much I need to survive. You go in, they offer you like $30K more. Are you gonna say, oh no, don't do that? I don't need that much. You're gonna say, oh, well, this number is what I was thinking, and that's $10K more than what they just offered you. Let's see what else you can get. That's the smart play. When Microsoft offered them 3 years, they said, oh, bet that's not enough. And then they started saying outrageous, stupid stuff, like they expected to keep the marketing, like they expected to keep like getting the beta early before Xbox. Like what? Are you serious? Like, of course you're not getting that stuff, but of course you say things in a negotiation that you don't really want, so that later on you give up that stuff like you really care for it, just to keep the things you actually want to keep. That's how you negotiate. That's what they've been doing this entire time. Of course they ain't signed that 10-year deal. They think they can block the deal. Why sign that? That's helping you. I'm gonna act like it don't exist.
At best, you delay
I got no choice. Right.
Yeah, no. And the other thing too is I don't know. I'm seeing this guy Bubba Fay Gaming. And I see this narrative go around like people say, oh, they're using these bad arguments and they're going to damage relationships with these studios, Activision. Look, if there's money to be made, and clearly there's money. If you looked at financials, Activision, I think it's what Sony makes about 15% of Activision COD revenue, accounts for that much.
There's no damaging relationships when you help them make the most money.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point, BG. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like it's so I don't know why people don't understand that, but like Bubba Fay, like if there's money, like BG said,
because emotions, Enrique, that's why they don't understand.
Oh yeah,
their emotion is tied up into that. And that's why it's funny to me that like dudes who should know better, who've been in gaming for a long time and seen pretty much everything, rise and fall, are talking like from Jim Ryan's being emotional. Like Sony's being emotional about. Well, that's crazy. That's like, wow.
Yeah. No.
Oh yeah, and then the revelation news of when they found out that Jim Ryan said out loud he doesn't want the deal, he wants to stop it. Revolutionary stuff here.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I thought we knew that a year ago. Like, right.
Yeah, that's
Come
not
on, man.
necessarily news. Like clearly they don't want this deal to go through. That's obvious by the fact that they keep saying no to the deals. Like Lulu come out on Twitter and be like, "Oh, they don't want to." Yeah, no shit, Lulu. Like we all knew that. You're not announcing anything we already didn't know. So it's like, it's crazy.
Like Lulu's owning them. I'm like, Lulu's owning them by stating the obvious.
Yeah, I don't understand how that's owning. Like Lulu's saying
Right.
something we all know. How is she owning them? Like I don't.
Like we knew Jim Ryan wasn't trying to fight this deal because he actually think it's like anti-competitive and it goes against the principles. We knew why he was doing it. It wasn't like a completely legitimate reason on behalf of like business and against monopolies. Not that it's a monopoly. We know that's not why he was trying to fight it. So I don't know why like him saying that is a shock to people.
Yeah, no, yeah. Viper XT says, do you think the ABK and Sony relationship will be the same if Sony costs the shareholders $70 billion? Yeah, because they won't make as much money on other platforms as they will PlayStation.
They spent $3 billion on Bungie and decided to cooperate with Bungie and allow them to continue putting their games on all platforms. You think if they spent $70 billion that they wouldn't do the same thing?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, Viper. Like, I mean, if COD, you got 48% of sales of Call of Duty sales happen on the PlayStation, they're not going to walk away from that. Shareholders won't be happy that deal doesn't go through, but they're not going to walk away. They're not going to lose more money. They're not. Why would you do that? They're not going to do that. Like that's just like they just wouldn't do it. Again, they got to make the shareholders money, and if the majority of Call of Duty sales are happening on PlayStation, they're not going to walk away from that money. That's a lot of money to walk away from just because of feelings.
So to the topic, do you guys think that after the 10, based upon like the comments that came out or the quotes that came out?
Let me read that real quick, Slow-Mo. I'm sorry, man. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Since we're going to talk about that. So this is Microsoft says 10 years is sufficient for Sony to develop Call of Duty, or I said rivals, but it's alternatives. So they told the UK regulator there's no basis for offering Sony a longer licensing agreement. So I'm not going to read the whole article. That's pretty much the gist of what Microsoft said. They that hey, a 10-year duration is sufficient, and whether there be sufficient enough for Sony as a leading publisher and console platform to develop alternatives to Call of Duty. So I think that also gives us insight. That kind of, I think, confirms, at least for me, like why Sony also is like, no, we're not buying this. We don't want the 10-year deal, and why I think the regulatory agencies have been asking for kind of I think the FTC has been asking Microsoft for the 10-year deals, and Microsoft has not submitted the documentation for those 10-year deals that they made with the other third parties like Nintendo. So, but go ahead, Slobo. You were saying something, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that, like, do you guys believe that that is basically them admitting that after 10 years, Call of Duty won't be on anything but where a Game Pass is, or however that is phrased, the way they did it was in a Max Media?
Of course. I told y'all that from the beginning. That was the plan.
Yep.
There's no $20 billion eat off.
You're kind of botting. Well, maybe you're botting to me. I don't know if
Yeah, I heard B botting for a second. B, repeat that again, man, because you were botting for a second.
I said you don't spend $70 billion unless somebody else eat off you. I knew that was the plan from day one. I called it when they first announced it, that they were going to keep all that stuff in-house. That was the plan. And I don't see it going any other way. The 10-year deal, all that nonsense is just to help the deal get passed. Because they already said that Call of Duty might not come out every year anyway. So if it doesn't come out every year and they put it in rotation with their other shooters, it comes out every 2 to 3 years. And if the game starts coming out every 2 years and they just support it, similar to how EA supports Battlefield, all those 10-year deals mean nothing. Because you're not getting
game is Warzone anyway. Warzone is the bigger portion. That's like always, ongoing live service game anyway. So it's like, Yeah, it's the annual releases that they're talking about. Might not. Yeah, yeah. Look, I always kind of felt like from the very start they wanted to keep it exclusive. Like I thought that like as soon as the deal was done, they'd jump out there and be like, it's going to be where Game Pass is. So if you ain't got Game Pass, you ain't got it. But like, of course, yeah, regulators jump in. Sony's fighting the deal. Okay, 3 years. Damn. All right, 10 years. So yeah. I think the end goal is we own it. So eventually, we gonna get what we want, and what we want is to put it where we want to put it, and not be forced to put it, give it to our competitor. So of course, and then if you kind of look at the dynamics of it right now, they would definitely be taking a hit revenue wise if they did it, say, like next year, right? But if you got the marketing, and as newer generations of gamers start to grow up and start to try out games, and everyone's playing Call of Duty, so newer generation of gamers are playing Call of Duty. If all the marketing they're seeing, we see how casuals are. All the marketing they see is Xbox. Is at the end of every Call of Duty commercial. Yeah, they're probably gonna get it on Xbox. So I mean, we see how that works. I mean, to the point where Forte was talking about, because PlayStation had the marketing for Hogwarts Legacy, people was coming in with an Xbox. They own an Xbox, talking about they're gonna buy a PS5 to get to play Hogwarts Legacy, even though it's on Xbox.
That shit was wild, bro.
Your casual gamers don't know anything. So,
wow, bro.
Forte.
I had to literally tell. I was like literally telling people. I was like, bro. I said, what you get rid of it for? He's like, oh man, I need to play Hogwarts Legacy, and it's not on Xbox. And I was like, you mean this? And I showed them a copy of it on the Xbox, and they was like, yo, I didn't even know it was on the Xbox. I was like, oh my god, bro.
Yeah, but that's a little bit different though, because that's a new game though. Like people,
no, dude, it was like that for a lot of games.
Maybe newer people, maybe we're just getting on COD. But I mean, come on,
bro, it's a lot of people like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of newer gamers that come in. Like my son now started asking me about Call of Duty. He's 13 years old, and I'm like, like he's never played he played a little bit of Halo before, but he don't really know first-person shooters like that. Like newer gamers start to come in, and then you start to see the dynamic slowly shift. You can see in 10 years from now that the percentages of where people play Call of Duty be vastly different than they are now.
They vastly different than they were 20 years, 15 years ago.
They're different than they were 10 years ago when they had the marketing.
Yeah,
they had the marketing, and when PlayStation took the marketing, you see where it is now.
I literally remember watching videos of content creators literally switch over, and their whole communities went with them. They was like, they stayed on Xbox for that first year, and then as soon as like the Call of Duty World Championships and stuff switched over to PlayStation, so it's time to go to PlayStation, y'all. And guess what? Everybody went. A lot of people went, I should say.
Yeah. Real quick, let me get this super chat here from Cycle Gamer. $5 super chat. If there's no fear or concern, why are they trying to block the ABK deal when they didn't try to block the Bethesda deal? There's obviously some fear here. Money. Again, it goes back to money.
It's always, I think some people like inflate fear and just trying to protect your market share as the same. It's like, if you had something on the line that was that substantial, would you just give it up?
No.
I don't think anybody would just give it up. So, now if you want to say they're scared of the fact that they don't want to lose that market. I mean, sure, everybody, nobody wants to lose that type of money, and then you got to find a way to recoup that money. So if you want to say that's like kind of the fear factor, absolutely. But I don't think anybody is afraid of just losing a game. It's not like a life or death scenario. It's just that, that makes up a big portion of the pie of what PlayStation does. They use a lot of that revenue to fund a lot of not only their games, but a lot of other endeavors that they have inside the PlayStation ecosystem. And that's not something they want to lose. And so why would you not try to do everything in your power to make that not happen?
I think the whole dynamic with Cinemax Media was different than it was now, because prior to that, the only other time they came into the situation was with Minecraft. And we know what happened with that. They called Xbox, they called Phil, was like, are you taking Minecraft off our platform? He said no. So think about that for a moment, right? Like, prior to this, they hadn't taken the games off their platform. All the way up into the deal, the ZeniMax Media deal being finalized, they were not definitive whatsoever about what they were going to do. They spent a lot of time saying, "Hey, we can't talk about that legally. We can't speak about it." Funny how legally they speaking all about it now, right? But before back then, they were just like, "We can't legally say
because they don't own it
what
yet.
we're going to do because we don't officially own it yet." And then as soon as they owned it, they said, "All right, well, all the like the stuff that's existing will be continue on PlayStation, but all new content that's going to be where Game Pass is." Like that's after that, right? You have to now take the approach of that's what I expect from you from now on. I can't expect you to go back to Minecraft when this is what you did after Minecraft. And then you buy an even bigger publisher. Yeah, I'm gonna expect you to make it all exclusive because that's what you did with the previous one. And so it's like when people say, "Well, why wasn't this all this big deal with ZeniMax Media?" It's because the only thing that we had any awareness of, and even Sony had any awareness of, is that when they spent this much money before, they bought Minecraft, and we still got Minecraft. So we can't expect them to be like mind readers or tell the future and know that all of that was going to turn out to not be the way they thought it was going to be.
Yeah, but I also think there's an inherent difference in that scenario too, because I think everybody tries to compare ZeniMax Bethesda to what Activision is. And as much as people want to say, well, Activision makes great games and, Skyrim and Fallout and all these other games, let's be for real here. Activision has Call of Duty and nobody else has Call of Duty, and Call of Duty makes more money in 1 year than every game that releases in that current year, and that game is annualized every year. So Bethesda games and properties do well just because they're a singular game that release. You get 3-4 years probably out of that game before sales completely die off. And then they'll remaster or they'll do some type of update like they did with Skyrim and stuff like that. But the growth pattern of that game diminishes significantly year over year, where Call of Duty doesn't have that issue. They put out a Call of Duty, the next year another Call of Duty's coming. If it sells 20 million, 25, 30 million, however many it sells, that is a huge difference between a game that you release one time like Skyrim. And then, so think about how many copies of Call of Duty have sold since 2011, since the initial release of Skyrim.
A lot.
No, and even if you compare Skyrim, all their different releases, their updates, everything they did, the anniversary editions, all those amounts, all those different versions of that game that released over the course of the last 10 years comes nowhere near even close to what Activision has done with Call of Duty over that 10 years. Like, it's like looking at the sun and trying to figure out how long can I stare at this thing before it burns my eyes out. It's ridiculous to even have that comparison, but that's what people think it is.
Yeah. Everything you say is accurate, but I kind of feel like, hold on, Rika, I just want to say this real quick. Even if they didn't acquire Activision next, let's say they acquired Capcom, I think Sony would still be trying to fight that.
I don't think they would be fighting it to the extent that they're fighting this.
I think they would still fight it.
I think they would. No, I do agree with you. I agree with you
at all.
No, I agree. I think they'll fight
now. There's a precedent
because there's a precedent of this happening. Exactly. I agree with that. But I do think that the fact that we're talking about something that makes more money than everything else out there is the reason they're fighting this as hard as they're fighting it. Now, that's the reason it's being fought as hard. If the money didn't make as much sense for Sony to fight this as much as they want, then they would have been probably dropped this a while ago. But it literally I'm not going to say makes or breaks them, but it also makes up so much revenue on their back end that think about Microsoft, that revenue that Call of Duty would make for them is so insignificant to what they do as a company versus what it would do for PlayStation. That's like a big part of PlayStation disappearing if they don't have the market share that they have with that game right now. And that's what they're fighting for. Microsoft's in a completely different situation where they can, look, we're still getting dollar deals for Game Pass out here and all this other stuff. That just lets you know that the economics of the two companies are two different, stages of development and stuff. It's just that PlayStation is in a situation where there's like, listen, we ain't trying to lose this, and we ain't trying to take no deals from nobody unless we have to at the very end just to save face on the scenario. But it's just going to be like this until this is all. That's why everybody wants this to be taken care of, and they want some type of resolution to this, because I always say, until Microsoft decides that they don't want to fight this fight no more, as long as they find interest and say, dude, we want this deal to go through, they're going to keep doing these concessions. They're going to keep coming to the regular saying, we want to do this, we'll do that. They're going to give everything away to get this deal to get done. And the moment that they say that it's not worth their sweat in the game anymore, that's when you'll see this like disappear. But I don't think Microsoft's going to do it. I think they really find so much value into this that the back end of it with the King Mobile, with PC infrastructure, having Call of Duty marketing rights is so enticing to them that this is going to be something that they're going to fight to the end, I believe, unless the regulators just completely shut it down.
Yeah. Hey, Game Logic, real quick, man. What are your thoughts on this like 10-year deal? I know you and I've talked a lot about like not that they not Microsoft saying that they should create a rival, but develop an alternative. An alternative, I mean, there's aren't any. I think the other panel member said this. There are many alternatives that do what Call of Duty does for the reasons Forte mentioned. Like, every year they're the top selling game, like within a 2-month retail window. What are your thoughts, man?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't think of a more significant way to pull the Sugar Ray Leonard bolo punch and telegraph to everyone your intention of what's going to happen after the 10-year point. So that to me has clearly kind of been stated by Microsoft is, after 10 years, all bets are off, and you're going to lose it. One of the things that I wrote on Twitter was that, making a Call of Duty, and I use the term competitor or rival. I don't allow the softball of alternative, because it's really a question of how do I replace the revenue, not just partially, and that's not as simple as taking a singular studio and having them make a thing, right? That is Call of Duty like, or a multiplayer PvP shooter. And this occurred to me the other day, when I was playing Call of Duty. Like, you go into the Call of Duty launcher menu, and like there's a huge amount of content, way more content than I've even had time to get around to. There's multiplayer, there's the multiplayer PvP, there's Warzone, there's Gunfight, there's Call of Duty League, there's Ranked, there's Hardcore. And then I was talking to one of my co-hosts on my show about the maps, right? Activision has a footlocker full of maps that they can go into and regurgitate and redesign. Tons of content.
I wish they would, because their maps suck right now.
But I mean, the point is that they have this is Apple with the iPhone, right? And then somebody coming along with a new operating system and a new phone. Like you just don't have the ability to land on the market and make a splash and get anyone to take notice when you have a mature software product like this with tons of legacy content, tons of fandom, tons of people. I mean, you have people who have grown up with Call of Duty at this point. You have people who started playing Call of Duty, I'll say in middle school, because I don't know that anybody younger than that should play Call of Duty. But anyway, you have people who played in middle school, right? And you think of the comparison to, say, Halo, right? Going back to people who started playing Halo on a LAN in their college dorm room, right? And now are older players who, have grown up with Halo. You have people who onboarded into Call of Duty, played through high school, played through college, are now out part of the workforce. It's an amazingly powerful gaming elixir, right? And that's not simply replaceable and supplanted by, by Sony or anyone. And then I also drew, the notion that it's a huge production pipeline. You've got 9 studios that make Call of Duty, 3 lead studios in a 3-year rotation, constantly cranking out, a new version every year. That's not an easy production pipeline to rig together. Sharing content, sharing tools, sharing models. The PlayStation is 18 or 19 studios. So is the supposition, that Sony's going to take half of their studios and convert them all over to make a massive, first-person shooter? And I'm sure some people are of the perception and mindset that, they can make 4 or 5 shooters and that'll all come together and make it, as B Money has said before, a lot of those shooters, I mean, just quite frankly, just based on the statistics of the market in the gaming industry, some of those shooters are going to fail. You know, and then Forte's comments about Sony and why they're fighting as hard. You know, one of the things that I'll comment on is let's keep it for real, right? With Sony, Sony's not exerting a ton of effort or a ton of money to be a fly in Microsoft's ear and constantly buzzing, right, and disrupting their plan. Microsoft has an army of lawyers, their whole legal department. Brad Smith is deployed, Phil Spencer, like all these people are constantly talking about the deal. They've hired Beth Wilkinson, right? Sony hasn't gone to that length. They put Jim Ryan on a plane and sent him on a 2-day trip to Europe, right? The level of effort, and Sony, and as I constantly tell people, right, people who make all the comments about, well, Sony this, Sony that, lame taxes, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Sony's not on trial. Sony doesn't have to go to court and prove anything, right? Microsoft's the one who's on trial. The burden of proof and burden of evidence is on them. So for a very small level of effort, Sony is occupying a lot of Microsoft's attention, right? While Jim Ryan has Herman Hulst running PlayStation Studios and taking care of business and doing what they need to do. And I mean, as far as we can tell from this generation, PlayStation Studios doesn't necessarily have a production problem where, right, Microsoft Studios, Xbox Studios, right, is still kind of trying to find their battle rhythm to get stuff out.
Yeah, that's a great point, Logic. BGE or B-Money, you guys have any thoughts on like the whole 10-year thing and Microsoft's commentary on, that's adequate time for Sony to kind of fill that void?
The whole deal is just stifling. I think stifling news in general and announcements, because there's clearly been a shortage of like development news and game news. We've gotten some, but you can clearly tell and just feel there's a lot of things being held back from both parties. So I hate the deal, still going on simply because of that, because we're losing out on things to talk about and just new gaming conversations, because this is just literally suffocating any type of other conversation that we could be having. And the whole 10-year thing, yeah, like Logic just said, it's them saying like you have time to create a rival just gives away that you want to make it exclusive, which is, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. Right now they don't want to do it because at this the way the current landscape is, they would rather have it on PlayStation platforms to help it sell. But who knows what it will be in 10 years? Who knows? They're like, we don't know if we'll need them in 10 years. We would at least at bare minimum like the opportunity to reevaluate. Maybe we give you all another deal in 10 years, but we want to be able to evaluate.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I mean, like I was always wonder like if they're looking at, okay, maybe we're at a point where, Game Pass, this has kind of been that driver for Game Pass, in terms of subscription numbers, to a point where maybe they don't need to have the game on PlayStation. But then I always think there's got to be some version of Call of Duty on PlayStation. And I think you said it earlier, Slomo, Warzone. Like I don't see them, and just because there's precedent to this, and as Phil Spencer said, with games that have communities, I don't see them pulling Warzone off per se, because that game's going to live and die. It's a battle royale game. Those games are going to live and die by platform accessibility. Like
I could see it eventually being off, and here's how. So like when they say like we don't want to take a game off a platform, for example. So remember when they came out with Psychonauts 2, and it was an obligation to make sure that was on PS4, because when that game was first kickstarted, when Double Fine was an independent developer, it was promised to be on PlayStation. But then what happened with the PS5 version? Yeah, that don't exist. So I think when you start getting into the weeds 10 years from now, like the way Warzone, like they've already on a Warzone 2.0, which they kind of feel is like different than their original Warzone. If I don't, let's say they come out with another Warzone 3.0 in say 3 years, and that's not supported by PS4. If you kind of get where I'm going here, eventually they're going to come out with a version of Warzone that's not supported by last gen. And if they stop after 10 years putting their content on PlayStation, there will eventually be a Warzone that won't be on PlayStation.
So you think that, because you got, I mean, I look at free to play games like it doesn't make sense to have those games not on multiple platforms, like everywhere, because
Of course, yeah,
they live and die on their
'cause
player base. So
you need to have a player base for people to play the game.
You
with,
think that they would sacrifice that player? And I don't know, who knows what the player base is going to be like in 10 years on PlayStation, but you would imagine the way the trajectory of PlayStation historically, they tend to sell the most consoles, have probably the higher level of engagement on the console space, that they would just walk away from that and say, you know what, we're gonna Warzone's it's a free to play game, it's a battle royale game. We're not gonna allow, we're not gonna open up the PlayStation anymore, because we're
assuming the dynamics are in say 2035 or the same dynamics they are today in 2023. Like, I would say it's probably different. Not saying it's going to be in their favor, but it would be different. And I'm pretty sure they are making this deal, spending $70 billion, hoping or assuming that it would be different around that time period than it is right now. So, yeah, I think they would think that they could at that point pull everything off, especially the annual releases. And even though Warzone is the more popular Call of Duty property at the moment, if you got enough of the players playing it on your platform at that point, all right, well, yeah, make it fully exclusive at that point. And the thing is that you're still fulfilling quote unquote obligations if you still keep it on PS6. But then when PS7 come out, that's not supported. Kind of like why I brought up Psychonauts 2, because with Psychonauts 2, they said, hey, we gotta put it on PlayStation 4. We're gonna put it on PlayStation 4. But we didn't have, there was like the legal documents, the contracts didn't say we had to put it on PlayStation 5, so we won't.
Yeah. But again, my argument to that, different games though, live service game versus single player game.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, go ahead.
I want to echo one thing BG said. Right? I mean, it was kind of one of the things that figured into me stepping away and taking a break for a while. This whole thing, as well as other things, right, are just like suffocating the gaming news cycle. And maybe part of it is that there just isn't much. But in January, the gaming community spent almost that entire month focused on nothing but rumor. Right, Fable's being rebooted. I can't remember the rumor that the Halo sock account, right, catfish started, and then there were other rumors that went around that many of which seem to be disproved by Chris Dring every other day. Bloomberg, right, did its typical thing of stepping its foot in it and claiming something that was later found to be untrue, which is just par for the course with that rag these days. But like, there's just so much super focus on rumors and just fake stuff instead of actually concentrating on, first of all, playing the games, as you've mentioned, BRAP, and we've talked about, right? More critically acclaimed game releases out in these first 3 months of the year than has been the norm, right? And that's not the focus of conversation. The focus is, all of this stuff and all the rumors.
Yeah, and this year, I think this year has started off very strong for gaming. Like, Resident Evil remake releases this week. We had Hogwarts Legacy, which we talked a little bit about earlier today, where Fortnite was saying people traded their Xboxes in. I still can't believe that. But
hilarious.
Yeah, but no, this year has been a solid year for gaming. Hi-Fi Rush is stealth released by Microsoft. There's just been a lot of content that's released. PlayStation releasing PSVR 2. And then we have, next month, the new Zelda, and then Redfall, and there's just a lot of content that's releasing right now, and I don't see a lot of conversation around it on the Twitters. So, but anyone have any other thoughts before we wrap up the show on the 10-year thing with Microsoft? Nope.
I don't expect these people to play games. That's my thought.
I want to
like that means that they play games in the first place.
Slow-mo, I want to see KDs, man. When people when people say you're a pony, okay, what's your KD in Halo, huh? Let me get the super chat real quick. Saydu.com with the $2.99 super chat. Thank you. It says Xboxers do not overhype Hellblade 2. It's not God of War Ragnarok. Well, I mean,
No one knows yet.
Yeah, no one knows, and I wouldn't assume that it would be like God of War Ragnarok either. I would assume that it's Hellblade 2. So, but thank you for the
Let's
super
hope
chat.
it's better.
Yeah, but yeah. So, gentlemen, look. Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone in the live chat for coming by and hanging out with us tonight. Please do me a favor, hit that like button if you haven't done so already. By the way, Jedi. What's a new Jedi game coming out?
Jedi Survivor.
Jedi Survivor. Yeah, commercials already running for that. I can't wait for that game. That's another great game coming out for 2023. But yeah, I'm hyped for that. But no, everyone, thank you the live chat for hanging out with us tonight. I appreciate the super chats as always. Do me a favor, we have like 150 people who are watching. Please hit that like button, and if you're new, consider subscribing, hitting the bell notifications. You're alerted when we go live. Want to give a big thank you to our guest this evening, BG. Always a pleasure having you on, man. It's been a very long time since we had you on, so really appreciate you coming on and talking shop with us. Please let everyone know where they can find you as well.
Yeah, Weapon Wheel podcasts are on Sundays, 5:45. My channel's Broken Games HDR. You can follow me on Twitter also. Yeah, good being on with y'all tonight, fellas.
No, thank you, BG. Appreciate it. And then we have Game Logic. Logic, man, always a pleasure having you on. If you want to be found, let everyone know where they can find you as well.
You can catch me back in my return on Twitter. You can find me at Game Logic, also still going by the alias Red Reddington since I am the villain. And then Sunday nights at 8:45 p.m. I'm on the Enough to Keep Going weekly games podcast, so you can swing by and talk that out. No console wars. We just talk about games and actual news, no rumors.
Awesome. I appreciate that, Logic. And then we got Eric Jackson E, man. Hey, always a pleasure. Hey, anytime, man. Anytime you want to jump on, man, you're always welcome, man. Open door. And great having you on again, man. Appreciate you joining us tonight, man. If you want to be found, let everyone know where they can. Yeah, let everyone know where they can find you as well, man.
I appreciate it. I know, like, the last couple of weeks I've been trying to get on, man. So I'm glad I was actually able to finally make it tonight. Always good to catch up with you guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, you can find me on the Hellscape Twitter. Just chilling. Try to make people laugh from time to time, but that's where I'm at.
No doubt, man. Always a pleasure. It'd be great having you on again tonight. And then we have these two gentlemen here. They have a show tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. DPS podcast, which stands for Damage Per Second. Forte and Slow-Mo. Whose channel is tomorrow's show going to be on?
It will be on my channel, but it'll also be dual streamed on the Damage Per Second podcast YouTube channel as well.
Oh, nice.
So if you don't remember where it's going to be at, just know that it'll be there. So you just go to that one. So it's all good. Great show as usual. Good to see BG here. It's good to see him awake because I thought that like he had to go to bed at like.
Oh, I'm going straight to bed like as soon as he.
Yeah, I was about to say that BG is.
I was just like, man, this guy's up at like 11 o'clock at night. This is he's definitely nodding off at the moment. So let's get him out of
BG,
here.
what time do you get up in the morning? Like 6 o'clock?
Yeah, like 6 o'clock, 6:30. I'm a morning person, like a heavy morning person.
I get up that early in the morning and still don't go to sleep till 12.
Jeez. I have no choice to get up that early because I got 3 kids.
I know that's the reason I got to get up that early.
Yeah, but no. Great show tonight. Again, I appreciate BG coming through. Come check us out tomorrow on my channel or the DPS podcast channel, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see you guys there. Maybe Eric Jackson will grace us with his presence finally. This man has been. I'm messing with Eric, but still, like this man for like 2 months has been like, "Hey yo, I'm coming through." I'm like, "All right, bet." Then it's like, "Hey yo,
I got something popped up, man."
No, my dog died. He got reanimated as an alien and attacked the whole family, messed everything up, man. I can't make it tonight. I'm like, all right, I guess, like this is like there's always a new reason. Like I don't know if he's going to get abducted, between tonight and tomorrow. We'll see what happens.
I tell you, man, I gotta juke the universe because if I say I'm coming, and you're like, you think you're going on a show? Nah, you doing that. I got this other life problem for you to handle real quick.
That's hilarious.
I'm gonna say, don't tell us nothing. Just show up.
Yeah, that's it. I'm like, here I am.
Oh man, that's too funny. All right, so your channel, Slow-Mo, and then the DPS YouTube channel tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
That's right.
All right, and then we got Forte. Forte, I got to be honest with you, that story of people coming in trading their Series
Wow,
X's.
bro.
Oh man,
Wow,
Forte,
man.
that is that should have been like a YouTube short video on your YouTube channel, man.
Man, listen, man, they push
That would
they
have never happened in 2013 for Forte.
Wow,
The dudes would
man,
have been in front of the GameStop telling people what they should be buying on what platform.
man, my man walked in. It was like,
Man.
because I always, some people ask like, what made you even ask the question? I said, yeah, because I'm always interested in why people are trading in one system for the other. And when he said for Hogwarts Legacy, man, I went into the counter and pulled out a copy for Xbox, and he says, "What's that?" I was like, I guess that marketing working.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
I have
You
coworkers.
should have been like, you have the only copy in existence.
Oh man, you know what? Now that you said it,
$500, please.
It's worth 200.
This thing's a dinosaur. How much is it worth to you?
Yeah, 500.
Oh man, but yeah, it's great to be here. I too was shocked when I got home from work and I saw BG in here, and I said, man, it's a little too late for this man, ain't it? But glad to see him up and about and hanging out with the gamers and stuff. It's always a great time being here with him. DPS podcast tomorrow, like Slow-Mo said. Come check us out. Come hang out. It's going to be a great time. And Gaming Forte every day with my YouTube, Twitter, and Xbox Live and PlayStation. You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.
All right, thank you, Forte. And last but not least, we got B Money. B, man, always a pleasure, sir. And let everyone know they can find you as well, man.
You can find me everywhere. Same name, B Money 101. Been pretty heavy on Battlefield 2042, so if you're down to play, definitely hit me up.
I don't know, man. Caught. Yeah. Another conversation offline. Another conversation. B's been trying to get us on 2042. I think for like the last week or so. I might
2042's that deal, man.
I might hop on. B. I've heard. I was talking to someone else who was telling me like it's actually pretty good now. So maybe I'll check it out. You know.
Yeah, especially if you got teammates that know what they're doing.
Yeah. Well,
That would not be me, but I'm down for it. It's whatever.
hey, so but all you need to do is kill
Put
people.
me in your
Listen,
back
man,
pocket.
Slow-Mo just
Like,
need to continue down his road to try to get the 30 million damage on his sniper in division.
There you go. Yep, absolutely. So
I'm up to 22 right
Yeah.
now.
Man is up here trying to maximize his build to
he
to a
is.
game that nobody's playing no more.
Hey, look.
Oh, don't talk.
I'm just messing with you, bro.
It's unnecessary. It's unnecessary.
I know it is. It's
Hey,
very unnecessary.
Slow-Mo's dedicated to his craft, man.
He is. I'm
He's
proud of him.
He's a connoisseur of games that people don't play anymore. But look, no, everyone, look, have a great rest of the week. Play video games. Have fun doing so, because that's what it's all about. It's about entertainment and having fun. That is the essence of video games. And on that note, we are out. We will catch you all next week. May do another rant maybe later this week, but give me a follow on, if you're not following me already, on Twitter, BRAP_podcast, for all the updates on anything BRAP related. So we'll catch you next time.